Okay, can you hear me? Ask you. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, today we start again the online meeting for learning. So we will learn online until the further notice from the announcement from school. The chapter that we are going to talk today is chapter 8 regarding the purchasing price. Okay, so the class today is quite a crowded class, and I'm happy about that because you didn't take the online learning as granted, and we focus to learn so that we can have the good lesson today. So the lesson today is about the purchasing price, and the agenda that we can go through, as you see in my sharing. We will go through the price and the cost. What are the difference? Okay, price and time, and what is the product life cycle, and time of purchasing, and what is the discount that you are hearing, and what the contract option for pricing and forward buying in the commodity. What does it mean for that? To be born. The first we learned today is the difference between in the price and the cost. A fair price is the lowest price that ensure a continuous supply of the proper quality where and when it is needed. Cost can be defined as dollar and cent per unit based on the average cost of raw material over a period of time, and the direct labor cost, and an estimate volume of production over a period of time on which the distribution of overhead is paid. It does mean that the total cost, including the cost of raw material and on labor cost and management cost for each of units. Absorbed cost plus pricing. Absorbed cost plus pricing equal to, that is the product cost. Product cost equal to allocated cost overhead plus variable production cost of the product. An advantage of absorbed cost plus pricing that it's simple, but disadvantage is allocation may not be fair, and the price by full absorption costing bear no relationship to market demand and to what the market is present to pay, prepared to pay. Some student is still entering the costs, okay? Some example of absorbed cost plus pricing. Example, ABC International has designed a product that contains the following cost: direct cost plus direct labor cost and allocated overhead. That means it cost of the product that include the direct material cost, direct labor to produce that product, and the overhead management allocated to that cost. The company applied a standard of 30% markup to all its products. To derive the price of product, ABC added together the starting cost to arrive at a total cost of 33.75, and then multiply this amount by 30% to arrive at the product price a 43.88. So that is an example of absorbed cost plus pricing. So the difference between the price and the cost, the contribution pricing. Contribution pricing equal to variable cost incurred in producing the product or in producing an additional unit of the product plus company fixed cost. Contribution cost that including the variable cost plus the fixed cost. Fixed cost example, the company have to build a plan, invest in the office, the facility in the office. That's considered as the fixed cost. The advantage of contribution pricing, a greater flexibility of the marketer, important when considering incremental business or business in the new market. This advantage is that is only a short-term tactics. Example of the contribution pricing. If a product is produced, including variable cost, $10 per pieces, the fixed cost total is $100,000. Demand assumed is 10,000 pieces. Now, any price above $20 will help the company maximize the profit. The fixed cost is $1,000 and the demand is 10,000 pieces. Variable cost is $10. So anything above $20 will have the company maximize the profits. So between the price and the cost for the buyer, we must realize the overhead and location practice of supplier. And we must be aware of whether fixed or semi-variable costs make up a large proportion of the supplier total cost. So if we want to buy the product at the price, we have to understand what is the overhead and location for the cost and the semi or the variable, the fixed cost that make up to a large proportion of the supplier total cost. Because at the end of the day, you have to pay. Now, every product, they have the price and the time. And what does it mean for that? For the price, that setting introduction, the price of the product is difficult for the marketer. And the range of the discretion in setting the price is between the marketer perception of the value of the product to the market, or his view of what the market will bear, and the cost of marketing the product. Two methods of setting the price, that is skimming pricing and penetration pricing. So the price of the product, they have two methods to set in the price: skimming and penetration pricing. And what's the difference skimming and penetration? This presents the price skimming, and this is the penetration pricing. The skimming pricing to select a price at the upper limit of the seller discretion and maximize the contribution received per unit and help recover investment in product development. And high market price is likely to attract competitive entry. This is the skimming pricing. Penetration pricing to set the price near the lower limit description and employ when the marketer does not have a technological edge or barrier to entry. This may not only develop the market rapidly, but may also discourage competitive entry. So penetration and pricing and skimming pricing are the two methods of pricing, setting the price of the product. Any product, they have the cycle life, the life cycle. The life cycle, the buyer must be aware of the movement in cost. Seller can expect through the product life cycle and the change in pricing he can negotiate. The cost chain are described at the learning curve, the relationship between the unit cost and the production output. We have an example of Boston Consulting Group suggests there is roughly 25% reduction in unit cost of production for each doubling of production output. And this allows you some idea of the product life cycle. The growth, this is the start, this is the type of product, and this is the sale in volume, okay? The entering the product, we have introduction phase, and then the product getting growth, and it getting mature, and after that, the declination. So this is the time and represent the product life cycle. The growth stage is a time of relative soft competition. The manufacturer can command comfortable margin without significant price competition at the growth. Then the cost reduction phase becomes apparent during the maturity stage here. Okay. The buyer must be aware of the life cycle consideration and the associated cost and competitiveness in the price negotiation. If we buy, we know where it is during the life cycle of the product. If we buy it here, the growth of the product, we cannot get the good price. But if we buy it from here, during the declination of the product, we can negotiate with the good price than the previous phases. So as a buyer, we know where the product lies to negotiate the good price. And we must be aware of the life cycle consideration that always associated with the cost. Any questions so far? Okay. If not, then we go to type of purchase. How many type of purchase that we can consider? Okay. We can buy raw material. Oh, of course, we buy raw material for production. We can buy some semi-finished product and component to examine the final product. Okay. Or we can buy some finished product. We can buy the part for maintenance, for repair, and for operating supply. General term that we can be familiar later on, that is MRO. MRO stands for maintenance, repair, and operating. Or we can buy production support item. Or we can buy services like logistics services, like construction services, like delivery services, etc. Or we can buy some capital equipment We can buy the line, we can buy the production line. Transportation and third-party logistic provider. These are the example of purchases that we can buy for the organization. The organization we can buy from the big thing to the very small thing, from the raw material to services that can help to operate the office or can operate the production line. So what we buy here, it depends on the supply positioning model. And I hope that we learn about that in previous semester. I remind you the positioning model of supply is a very important when you define what you buy, where you buy, and how much you can buy, and how much the relationship between you and the supplier depend on which quarter they stay in this supply positioning model. And this define based on the rule 80-20. 80 of item that can occupy 20 value. And this quarter represent the 20 items that can occupy 80% of the total value of your spending. So it depends on the impact of the supply of opportunity, and the risk rating go from the routine, leverage, critical, or bottleneck. Depends on how important and how much you can spend. Okay. In this quarter, this is the bottleneck supplier. This is a very critical supplier. It belongs to 20% of item, but that can occupy 80% of the total value. The routine is small value, and it's not, you can easily find it anywhere. If you cannot buy from this supplier, you can go to another supplier and ask for it. So you can easily find it in the market. In this, you can easily make the competition, but the total value is small. 80% of the item that can occupy about 20% of the total value. And this expenditure, even though it's large, 20% of item, it can occupy 80% of the total value, but the impact of supply is level, normal. Okay, but this quarter is very critical. It not only occupy big spending in your company, but it's also very important, where it impacts the supply and opportunity. Risk rating is high. This quarter, a critical supplier that you can define. Now, if you define that your supply positioning model, and you define clearly where the supplier belong to, This slide can show you how to obtain and select the offer from the supplier. Okay. In order, and you are working on a semester project, I come back again on the semester project. Your RFP is sent to the supplier and waiting for the proposal from the supplier coming back, and you do select the supplier. Your job as a buyer is to select the supplier that can deliver successfully your product, your expectation at the end. In order to do that, the method to be used, informal, it's like that. You have the inquiry in the quotation, and then you get the formal tendering, and you go to the e-market. That is normal that you can select. Another way is you can have a single supplier or selected supplier and open the competition for bidding. Base price, based on cost, and based on supplier capability and motivation. So this shows you somehow that you can obtain and you can select the offer. We are going to talk about that in another. I have prepared for your guide the best buy based on total best value, and how we can do that. We can talk about it in more detail in the next hour or so. Okay, this can give you the idea how you can select the total best value. You can select the best buy based on the total best value that you analyze. Okay. Any questions so far? Any question? If not, then we go to the next slide. Discount. We hear about that a lot. Within the sale, we have a discount. What does it mean for the discount? Discount represents a legitimate and effective means of reducing the price. Okay, we talk about the price, we talk about the cost, and discount is represent a legitimate and effective means of reducing price. If we buy the price is less than the normal price, that we call that a discount. They may be offered by supplier, okay, or by negotiated by purchaser. So we are purchasers, so that we have to learn how to negotiate to get the good discount or to get the good price. And in order to get the good discount, we have to learn kind of discount. Trade discount. Many businesses offer trade discount. What does it mean by trade discount? Trade discounts are normally granted by manufacturer to the particular time of distributor or user. So trade discount normally offered by production, by manufacturer, okay, to a distributor, because of course we ask the distributor to distribute our product, so we give them the good trade discount. Trade discount also to protect the distributor by making more profitable for a purchaser to buy from a distributor than directly from the manufacturer. And you may know that if you buy it from the distributor, okay, this is important. You buy some product from the distributor, you might get the good price, then you buy it directly from the manufacturer. And that is a way the manufacturer protect their distributor, because the distributor, they often distribute the product for the manufacturer. So manufacturer give them a good discount, trade discount. That's why if we buy some product from the distributor, you might get the better price than you buy it directly from the manufacturer. And in order to get the trade discount, you get the reduction from the list price to their business customer. So every manufacturer, they have the list price of their product to their business customer. And the trade discount are usually figured from each item within the invoice, okay? The trade discount offer the customer may differ. So depends on the relationship, the business relationship between each customer, you can get different trade discount from the manufacturer. And the trade discount are always based on the list price of the item being purchased. In order to calculate the trade discount, we multiply the list of the price tied to the rate of the discount. The rate of trade discount multiplied with the list price, the list price to become a trade discount for the total list. And how much you pay depends on the invoice. To find the invoice price or net price, subtract the trade discount amount from the list price. That's simple, right? List price minus the trade discount become to the invoice price. And this invoice price is how much you have to pay. Example, ABC Manufacturing sell a law etcher to XYZ Hardware for a 140 per piece, less than 35% trade discount. What amount of trade discount is given to the law etcher? And what is the invoice price of the etcher? Here that's what we see. Trade discount 35% is $48. Of course, then the invoice price equal to the list price minus the trade discount become to invoice. 140 minus 49 equal to 91. That is how much you will pay. Another example. A manufacturer offers a sale large retailer a ready-to-examine bookcase for 37.2 per pieces. The list price of bookcase is 62 pieces. What rate of trade discount is given to the bookcase? That is only the question. And what we can find out the cash, the discount is 62 minus 37.2. 24.8 is the discount. Then 28, 4.8 over 62 is about 40% rate of the trade discount. The trade discount in this case is about 40%. And cash discount. Cash discount are granted by every seller or industrial goods. And cash discount to secure the prompt payment of an account. For example, a 2/10 net 30 cash discount means a discount of 2% if payment is made within 10 days, with the gross amount due in 30 days. Normally, cash discount remain in the payment term. How many percent if you pay within how long with the gross amount due within how long? Normally stay with the accounting. Rate of cash discount multiplied with the price invoice between to the cash discount. Later on, you may encounter with the contract, there is the payment term that 2/10 net 30 days. That's an example. That means the discount within 2% if the payment is made within 10 days, within the gross amount due in 30 days. That means if you pay within 30 days, then you pay the full amount. But if you pay within 10 days, that you can get 2% discount from that amount that you pay. That we call that cash discount. Any question for this? Another example. The list price of a rocker is $125. The rocker is offered to a retailer at 45% trade discount with the credit term 3 days, within 20 days, and then 60. What the invoice price of the rocker? That's the question. And what is the cash price of the rocker if the invoice is made within the discount period? And this gives you an answer for the question. The list price of the rocker is $155. The rocker is offered a retailer at 75% trade discount with a credit term 3/20 and 60. That means 45% of 155 is 60.975% discount dollar. And the invoice price 155 minus the discount and equal to 85.25. That is the invoice price. Now, 3% of the cash discount, 3% of the cash discount of this invoice price. That means if they paid within the period of discount, they can get the discount. They can get 3%. Right? If the invoice is paid within the discount period, then they can get the cash price is only 82/69 instead of 85/25 as invoice pricing. That is single discount. We can learn about multiple discount. Discount, over discount, and over discount. And this is an example of multiple discount. Example, if you buy some product up to the certain quantity, you get discount. But then if you buy above that, you get discount above a discount. And if you buy more, you get more discount on top of what already discount. That's what we call that multiple discount. And in some industry and trade, the price are quoted on the multiple discount basis. For example, 10 and 10 and 10 mean that for an item at least at $100, the actual price to be paid by the purchaser is $100 minus 10%. And then 10% on top of that $100 minus the 10%. And then on top of that, you get 10% etc. This is an example of multiple discount. 10 and 10 and 10 is therefore equivalent to the discount 20.1% in this particular example. Multiple discount normally applicable in multiple in quantity discount. If you buy more, you get more discount. Quantity discount applied to a particular quantity and very roughly in proportion to the amount purchased. It led to the saving, marketing, distribution, or production. The issue of quantity discount is that is inventory cost, in versus with discount. if we have inventory cost to get the discount. The cumulative quantity discount tend to restrict the number of suppliers. The choice of the source and auxiliary services per unit production cost or the time discount. And a cumulative discount is based on the quantity purchased over a period of time and not on the size of any one order. That is purchasing saving. This is give you some example for you to understand the difference between the inventory cost that related to the discount. The annual demand is 900 units and the other cost is $50. And carrying cost is about 25%. The cost is from 0 to 199 if we order from 0 to 199, the cost is $45 per unit. And if we order more between 200 to 399, the cost is 43. And if we buy from 400 to 799 units, the cost is 41.50. And if we buy above 800, then the cost is 40 per unit. And this table gives you the idea of how much you pay for the quantity that you are going to order. If you order from 100, from 200, from 400, and from 800. This is the cost, the total unit cost, the order cost, and that table can give you the idea of the total economical of quantity that you should order. If you look in this table, and this table is a summary of a lot of analysis based on the data that you get above, you will see if we order 100 units, then the quantity, the economical of quantity that we should order is 89. And for the cost from 200 quantity, the EOQ is 92. And similarly, if we order 400 units, then the EOQ is for 93. And if we order 800 and above a unit, and the EOQ is 94. And based on that summary, that you can define which one that you should order, depend on the inventory cost and the discount cost that you get. Okay, because if we order more, then the cost of each unit is less. However, order cost is more, like the inventory cost, like the order cost, blah, blah, blah. Okay. you should learn to understand how to analyze and to make the decision based on the data. Okay. So this is analysis. Based on the data, you should, understand that if we order from 100 to 200, then this is the cost that we have to pay. If we order from 400 to 800, this is the cost we have to pay. And checking with the feasible EOQ from this table above, then the conclusion is if we order this, which quantity that we should order, it depends on the total cost is the minimum. And if we look at the table that we do analysis, we see the order quantity is 400 is the best because of the total cost is minimum. You understand that? You need to learn how to analyze and to make decision which quantity is the best for us based on the total cost in the minimum. Because that is a lot of practice that you have to decide if you go to the real world. Okay? Some of exam will go to this part because to test your understanding about the decision that you are going to make between the inventory cost versus the discount. Which one is the best? Okay. Sometimes the discount seems to be attractive, but then you have to consider inventory cost if you have to buy it. Any question for this? No question? If no question about the inventory cost versus the discount cost, we are going to the next slide. It regarding the contracting option for pricing. Because if you go to the contract later on, you may have to choose which contract option for pricing in the contract. And this gives you an idea in the market how many different options for pricing that you can place in your contract depend on the agreement between which supplier. the first contract option that you in the contract, this is the firm fixed price. What does it mean for the firm fixed price? For the product, for the service, for anything that when it go to firm fixed price. What does it mean? In Vietnamese, we call it khoán gọn, hợp đồng khoán, lời ăn lỗi chịu đó. The price set in the contract is not subject to change under any circumstance regarding the fluctuation of the price in the market. Under any circumstance, regardless that, you know, they have up and down in the market, they have difficulty in transition, they have the importing problem, blah, blah, blah. Any circumstance. In the firm fixed price, so everything is set with the fixed price, no change. There is another term, cost plus fixed fee. Cost plus fixed fee. What do you mean for that? If we do ask for some provider, okay, they work for us, always they give us the cost that they get from their supplier. And then we pay them a fixed fee on top of that cost. We call that cost plus fixed fee contract. If the item is experimental and the specification are not firm, or if costs in the future cannot be predicted, in that case, we accept the term cost plus fixed fee. And another term that can be in the contract, that is cost no fee. Okay, cost no fee. That means the supplier may be willing to do the job provided only costs are reimbursed if they are enough subsidiary benefit. Okay, so regardless how much of the cost they have to claim, they have no fee for it. Cost no fee. And another term that we call that cost plus incentive fee. Cost plus incentive fee. Both buyer and seller agree on a target. That a fixed fee and a formula under which any cost over or underrun are shared. That means they have the cost plus incentive fee. That means whatever the benefit they gain from that cost, they can share with some incentive. You understand? Example. We have the project, let's say Example for a semester project. You have 1 billion project, but then some of your supplier, they say that, okay, they can do this your project with only 900 million. But then, they help you to save about 100 million for that project. So how much can you share? How much can you share? Example, if we agree in the contract, it said that, okay, this project is 1 billion, but then if you can do it less than 1 billion, the target of saving that can be shared between you 30% and me 70%. Example. That we call that cost plus incentive fee. Both buyer and seller agree on the target of cost figure, a fixed fee, and a formula under which any cost over or underrun are shared. Another example, cost plus incentive fee. Your project is 1 billion. But then, example, current situation in the market, the cost of material steel is increasing, incredibly. Then the total cost of the project may be above 1 billion. And you agree to say that, okay, if it above 1 billion, you can share 30-70. I'm 70 and you are 30. So it reserved for the flexibility, for the change in the market that you cannot predict. Both buyer and seller agree on the target cost figure. Any questions so far? I can understand it a little bit confused for your guy because you are not entering the real market. Not facing for the real world, but there is something that you might be aware, so you will not be surprised. Some provision for the price change in the contract you may have. Number one, that in many long-term contracts contain provision for price change. Option for price change. Guarantee against price decline. And we had the provision made for a reduction during a subsequent period if there is a downward marketplace price movement. So we make a room to guarantee against price declination. We also make a room for the price protection clause to keep open the option of taking advantage of a lower price offered by a different supplier. Escalator clause to provide for either an increase or the decrease in price if cost change, adjustment proportion, measure of price, and wage rate to be used in making the adjustment. The method is stated. Most of that price change can be made in the contract without the fixed firm price. Okay, if you make the fixed firm price, you have no way to change. But in order for the supplier, they commit to you your project with the fixed firm price, they have to calculate on the risk of the price before they can commit to you the fixed firm price. If you make the contract with fixed firm price, it never changes from the start to the end. But if you make the contract with some provision for price change, then you have different options. But that option will be discussed and aligned with the supplier before they sign the contract with you. Some provision for the price change you can make with the contract in case of we commit with the supplier with this price with condition that no other supplier they can offer a lower price than other supplier. Or if we have a lower buyer offered by other, it will be applied to this contract as well. So that is some provision for price change in the contract. Normally, it happens in highly developed country with different price change. In our country, in Vietnam, most of the time I see we have fixed firm price. That means we accept the khoán gọn term. When we accept that, it means that we agree at the very beginning the risk that included in the term of fixed firm price. Okay. Any questions so far? If not, I have some backup for you to read in more, like the forward buy-in and commodity. The second is forward buying, forward buy-in and commodity. Forward buy-in is the commitment of a purchase in anticipation of future requirement beyond the current lead time and actual needs and price. Commodity represent a special class of purchase frequently associated with forward buy-in, and on forward buy-in involves some risk and speculation. On time of pricing price commitment for quantity beyond anticipated need would be called speculation. At time of falling price, speculation would consist of withholding purchase or reducing quantity purchase below the safety limit, and organizing for forward buying authorized person. So you can read more forward buying in commodity. You can also learn reading more for hacking. What does it mean for hacking? A hacking contract involves a simultaneous purchase and sale in two different markets, which are assumed to operate so that a loss in one will be offset by an equal gain in the others. Normally, this is done by a purchase and sale of the same amount of the same commodity simultaneously in the spot and the future market. So this example gives you an idea of hacking. Remember, hacking is buying and selling from one market to the other, the same product, and some country there might be a loss, will be offset by there some country might be a gain. This gives you an example. In the cash market and in the future market. Some further information about the sort of information regarding the price trends that you can read for your knowledge. Any questions so far regarding the purchasing price? If not, then we take about few minute break. So anyone can take a few minute break, or 10-minute break. I will come back at 9:30. Okay. Hello. Mhm. Hello. Okay, let's start again for the CBA current best approach. Current best approach for the total best value. Shall we start? Okay, for total best value for the selection. This gives you some guideline for select the supplier with the total best value. And you know that when we select the one supplier, cost is only one of the matter. Okay, especially when you work on the project, cost that related to scope, but it's important for delivery timing. So scope, cost, and schedule are the three matters that lead to your total best value selection. Of course, aside from cost, scope, cost, and schedule, quality and safety are by default. You cannot compromise quality. You can also not compromise safety because that might impact badly for your image, your company image, your legal matter. Okay, so I focus on scope, cost, and delivery timing with safety and quality are by default. This gives you some guideline for the process of total best value selection. The total best value selection process, the objective of guideline today is for you to have some learning about select the supplier with best value option from several alternative choice. That means you have several alternative and you select which alternative is the best for you, depends on what you need. Okay. Number one, you have to establish about the criteria that will be considered. You know what you target, what you need for your project. what you need for your purchase. Okay, that is the criteria. Some project schedule is the most important. Okay, urgency is the most important. Okay, some project cost is the driver. Cost is the most important for your selection. Which is cheapest? You can have the longer duration for delivery, blah, blah, blah. Aside the criteria that you will be considered, you have to identify importance of each criteria. So the importance of each criteria, then you can give the weighting factor. You give the weighting factor. Each alternative a score for each criteria, and you adjust the score by importance. And then you compare the total scoring for each alternative, and then you use the total score to identify the best value, and you make the selection based on the best value. So that is the overall approach, the guideline for the best value decision process. This gives you some example that you have here: alternative 1, alternative 2, alternative 3. Okay, and the criteria here that you are setting, and each project might have a different importance. The weighting factor is different from project to project, from criteria that you are looking for. Example, in this criteria, you set the criteria, the cost, the schedule, the quality, and the safety, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And the total of scoring, it is 100. And you will define step by step what is the most suitable for the importance of each criteria on the website. And you evaluate the criteria, the weighting factor for each alternative, and you count the total scoring. Today, I will get you to the process as an example, for you to learn how to evaluate the total best value option for your selection. Number 1, example, for after you select the best value, the criteria for your project, and you start establishing the importance. Okay, the importance, you assign the value from 1 to 0, from 1 to 0, from 0 to 100. Least important, it is 0, and most important, that is 100. And you give each alternative a score for each criteria. And you score the importance for alternative. This is example. Example, in this situation, cost, schedule, quality is equally important. And you scoring that 33.3 for each. Quality is 33, and safety is required. Okay. Example, this is an example, remember. Yeah. Another example is flow cost is more important, quality and schedule is less. In this case, is another example for the cost. We take is more important, it is 60%, and schedule is 20%, and quality is 20%. Okay, this depends on each project. You have this scoring is different. Another project you have here, example for the cost is only 20%, schedule is more important, is 30%. Quality, when you talk about quality, you require 10% for experience, 20% for reliability, and for the appearance, it is about 20%. Again, the importance here is alignment between the key member in the project or the project owner, they align to boost this number. And as a buyer, as a purchaser, you lead the process, but you listen to the judgment from other. You lead the process, you work with the supplier, and you select this for the total best value. Any questions so far? If not, then we continue. After we identify the importance of this criteria, and then we give each alternate a score for each criteria. We place 100 is the best scoring and 0 is the worst scoring. And all score are possible, no total required. Look at this. If we use an example of the normal case, alternative 1, alternative 2, and alternative 3. We have alternative 1, alternative 2, and alternative 3. Spin has stopped. Can you see me? Any questions so far for this? If not, then we continue. For the best value, total best value process, then after we select the important, we give alternative the scoring, and then we start multiply the score by important. Okay. Look at this. We multiply the score in important. We multiply the score in important, which every alternate. Okay. And then we do the same thing, and then after that we sum on the scoring. We sum on the scoring. And we see it here, the total scoring that remain for the best value that you can consider. Okay. The process flows from here. If you look at this slide, you see the process flow from we start to we stop. We start with the pre-qualification with on the supplier. So we select who is qualified, and then we send the RFP example. RFP of your semester project. I repeat it again and again, back and forth, because semester project is an example for you in the real world. Okay. It starts with the pre-qualification project, and after the pre-qualification, and you send the RFP to the pre-qualified. And from the collection of the proposal from your pre-qualified supplier, you do the evaluation like this, based on the criteria that you set with them. The importance, meaning the weighting factor that we are setting here, and you do the evaluation for each alternative from the proposal. You evaluate their ranking. You evaluate their ranking. Okay. And from evaluate ranking, then you check the scoring, you multiply with the importance, the weighting factor, and you take the total here. So again, this is the evaluation process. It starts with the pre-qualification, and it go with the final selection award, and then it start the performance evaluation during the execution of the project. That means after the award of the contract. Your project and the semester project, you are somewhere here. You are somewhere here only, almost at the start. Okay. And today I am guiding you with the evaluation process. the final selection. Okay. And after the final selection, you have the contract award and you make the contract sign, and then you evaluate the execution, the performance of your supplier. That is here. The whole process here, evaluation process. It starts with the pre-qualification. It go on with the selection, and it's evaluatable by execution performance. Any questions so far? You make a final selection. After you do the analysis of making the weighting factor, making scoring, and making the multiply the scoring with the important, then you make the total scoring. And that only the number, okay? After that, you do the final selection by you reject the importance and the score. Are the score and result consistent with your experience? That means everything appear in the evaluation sheet. Is it consistent with your experience as a purchaser, as a buyer? And you use management judgment to make the final selection. The score, it is data in one hand. It's the fact and figure. However, you use management just to use final selection. Not only the scoring and other factor may override. What does it mean for that? What does it mean? For other factor may override. Anyone can share with me your understanding? Hello? Okay. After we do the rating, after we do the evaluation sheet with the scoring and alternative evaluation, we based on our adjustment and we use management adjustment to make the final selection. As I told you, we are purchaser. We cannot make decision for everything, but we lead the team. We lead organization, including the process owner, the project manager, the production manager, etc. So we lead them through the process, and through the process, we gather them all to make the final judgment. And final judgment, it's not only the factor of the scoring, but it's based on the experience, it's based on the management judgment as well. give you some example for this sheet. I just share with you some selection. Don't know, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This is an example. I do a project. It's about 10 years ago. It's about 10 years ago. This project is a big project in China. And it is the design and build project. Okay. And okay, this is the alternative. Alternative, we have about ADI, Unica, MI2, KRA, Rinspace, Infinity, blah, blah, blah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 suppliers that passed the pre-qualification process, and they are the one we send the RFP to them. Okay. This gives you an example because this is the design and build projects. That's why the criteria that we set clearly is number 1, the design capability. Number 2, company certificate. Number 3, preparation for the project. And construction capability. So this is the criteria that the team agree with me when we set the criteria for the project design and build project. That's a big project in China. Okay. And the design capability, we agree that about the weighting factor is 10%. 10% is including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 criteria in detail. And 8 criteria, if we have 1, 1, 1, 1, and the last criteria is the design self-perform can meet IMDS expectation. Can they start the design work immediately? If, let's say, step 1, September 1. If they can meet this criteria, they get the score is 5. And those are the total score in the design capability is 10%. Similarly, company certificate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 point, and each point about 1. This certificate is 5%. Another criteria, whether this company have a similar construction experience in the same project, 15%. They have a similar scale for the project, 10%. They have experienced the relationship with owner from 2 to 5%, 2.5%. And they had the relationship with the landlord, 2.5%. In total, in the similar construction experience, they have a 15%. But this is important, preparation for the project, because this is a big project and design build, and for the readiness of the project, the team agreed this point is very important for the project success. They had the project manager and the site manager. They have M&E lead. They have HVAC, blah, 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 blah. They are the readiness for the project about 50%. Project management. They have a construction capability about 20%. Again, this project is design and build. For that, they have the design, they have and build, they have a project management capability as well. For the construction capability, whether they have quality control, whether they have the lab, whether they have site control, they have integrated construction delivery team, they have compressive construction capability, they can comply with the owner H&H. E stands for environmental, health, and safety. EHS, that is environmental, health, and safety. So those are the important nets, the weighting factor. Okay, and these are the criteria that the team had agreed upfront. And we agree on the score description is excellent is 5, good is 4, standard and average, they are average is 3, below the standard is 2, and the unacceptable is 1. So these all score are from average interview committee score. Intel procurement, project manager, IMC, user, GLM. So this all agreed upon by the team, led by Intel. At that time, I work for Intel procurement. Okay, and this is the big project in China. I did that in 10 years ago. Okay. Taking this as an example for you to work on total best value selection. Okay. After we do this criteria important and we do the scoring, the score description that we agree upon, and we do that, and then the team have lit the final selection. I did that. Okay. And this is for design and build interview score. And based on this one, the 3 company is ADI, KRA, and Infinity go into the final round. Any questions so far? Any questions so far for this example? Anyone who want to ask question? Lê Thanh Mai. Can you hear me? Okay. You said that no. What does it mean? Do you have a question? I see. Okay. Okay, thank you. See, I see, I see, I see. Okay. Now, after you do the final selection, after final selection, I mean, then you do the contract administration. What does it mean for contract administration? As the buyer of in your organization, you have to lead them the pre-qualification. You have to lead the team to the final selection, and after the alignment on final selection, you have to lead them the contract administration. That means you have to put the contract in place. The contract must be signed by both parties, but the buyer and party of the seller. That we have to settle the contract. And after the contract settled, then we have to support the supplier administration for the contract alignment. That means we have to be clear with them what party A will do, what party B will do. We make the clear between the both parties. To make your job as a buyer and the purchaser in the organization is to make sure that the connection between the owner and to the supplier, and make sure the supplier delivers successfully the scope of the project. If they fail to deliver the scope of the project, you fail as the purchaser at a selection of the supplier. Okay? And because of that, after you settle the contract, you have to lead the contract administration by set up a contract alignment and to let them know what are the typical activity to be reviewed and to be audited during the contract execution. What are the regular project meeting? What are the schedule of the regular project meeting? And how schedule quality and safety to be reported on the regular basis. After you make clear for both party buyer and party seller, buyer mean that us, and seller that is supplier, we have to set up the supplier contract change control, because you never know during the project execution what are the change, what are the change during the project execution. And because of that, you have to manage the process change control. What is the scope change? How much will it cost? What the schedule impact to the original schedule? And the project work should be recorded and reported. What are the change control system documented? And this is the two-way communication and feedback, how to deal with the deviation. And after you do the administration of the contract, after you set up the process change control, how you manage the relationship between owner and supplier. And you, in order to manage the best relationship with the supplier, we have to set up the collaborative relationship, because you know that nowadays the power of procurement is rely on the collaboration of the supplier, how much they want to support you. And in order to manage the collaborative relationship, we have to listen to them. We have to understand the mutual understanding interest and the culture, especially when you do the business with a company or the people from other country. You need to understand their culture. A sign of mature and developed relationship, transparent and clear, visible commitment to the relationship from both parties. So in order to have a collaboration relationship, number one is we must set clear the expectation in the contract. Try as much as possible to be clear in the contract, because later on you will manage that contract delivery. So the clearer you set it in the contract, the easier for you to manage them along the way. And set up to be clear with them about the chain control, how you will manage them, manage the chain during the execution of the project. What is the original scope? What is additional? How much will it cost? And how long will it take for the additional scope? That you have to make it clear in the scope chain control. And my experience is 100 the project, they have the chain along the way. So we have to make it clear at the very beginning how you manage the chain of the scope. And importantly, that you understanding the culture of your business partner, and you manage them as manage the collaborative relationship. Any questions so far? As a summary, we are doing the job as a purchaser and procurement in the project in your organization. These are the steps that we have to focus to make it clear success delivery at the end. Number one, that is supplier pre-qualification. Supplier pre-qualification is important to do the screening. Who is the qualified supplier before you send the RFP to them? And the pre-qualification is based on the market and the supplier capability. You have to search in the market who are your capable supplier. And you do the screening about their technical mastery, about their technical competency. And then what are their financial capability? The stability of their financial situation. You cannot give your big project to a very small company, very limited financial capability. And those are the supplier pre-qualification. Now, after you do the pre-qualification and you know who are your potential, your capable supplier, then you do the RFP, you do send the RFP. The RFP you prepare by yourself, and semester project is, a test, a guidance for you to do the RFP. After the RFP to be sent to supplier, then you collect their proposal and you do the supplier selection. The supplier selection, I just walk you through the total best value, current best approach, how you do it. You do the criteria, you do the weighting, you do the total scoring of weighting factor, and then you do the final management judgment for final selection. But before that, we had the supplier selection. You know about the scope of work, you know about the specification, you know about the schedule, you are very clear about the supplier selection criteria. Then, after you collect the proposal from the supplier, and not always very clear about what the supplier wanted. And in order to do that, you have to do the clarification with them to understand what does it mean like this, like that. Because in order to do this, it's going through a lot of bit clarification. And after the bit clarification, it go to the scoring. But then after this one, bit negotiation. Bit negotiation. After we are clear about what they wanted, and it is time for us to negotiate. Because most of the time we have a budget about $10 million of dollars. On the proposal we get back from the supplier from, let's say, from 12 to 15 million. Then what we need to do is, number one, we need to do negotiation. Number two is we have to do value engineering. What is other option that can reduce the cost of the project? What are other material that can be used? Different specification that lead to different costs. Okay, so a lot of things that we need to negotiate with the supplier, negotiation poorly, or value engineering to come to the project cost that can afford by the company. And after that, after we do all and we select one and we make the final selection and we do the contracting with the supplier. The contracting is one hand, but manage them during the execution. This is to ensure the successful delivery at the end. Regardless how good of the contractor, how good of the contract we put in place with the supplier. But if we do not manage them along the way, they may fail at delivery. That's why after we do the contract with them, we have to manage them along the way, manage their performance, manage them the relationship, manage them to the meeting, regular meeting, regular reporting. And at the end of the day, we do the closure of the project, who will, analyze what we are doing well, what we are doing not well, and reason why, blah, 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 and how can we avoid it in the next project in the future. Okay. Any question? Question so far? For the summary of the bid selection, total best value, and the supplier management along the way. Us as a procurement in the organization, one of the things that our job is sourcing. That means re-identify the potential supplier and ensure the best supplier during the selection and performance management of supplier. For the sourcing overview, which supplier to be considered? Why not consider them? Which alternative options? If none, why not? Those are some questions for your all as a buyer in the organization during the sourcing process. Should we purchase any subcomponent separately to get the better value, or which one? Sometimes supplier, we have to do manage several suppliers for your project. You do manage a supplier for construction to build the plan. You do manage the supplier for HVAC. heat ventilation, air condition. You have to do manage the M&E, mechanical and electrical and plumbing. You have to manage the supplier for fire protection, etc. And after that, you have to manage the production line, and you do manage the testing and commissioning of the production line, etc. You do want to manage them under a general contractor, or you will manage them as a separate supplier to get the best value. So which strategy is right for you? You have to discuss and align with the team. Can we leverage the volume of good discount? We learn about pricing discount. We learn about quantity discount. Should we buy little, or we buy a big quantity with a volume discount? Any other opportunity exists? How can we explore them? Always we have to think about an assist just in case, and to put that in the clause. Should we inquiry, negotiate, or using the existing blanket purchase order? We learned about blanket purchase order in previous term. Should we do that? Or how important a specification from a commercial point of view? And what special term to be helpful, such as warranty, performance guarantee, CNDA, GDA, etc. And again, this is the project triangle. Project triangle we talk, I keep repeating. What are the scope? How much is the budget? And how long will it take to complete your project? And there is a team synergy here, the team including procurement in terms of the team including R&D, including the production, including the finance. That those are the team. Always the scope, the budget, and the schedule here, it all related. And the scope that related to budget, is it within the affordability of your organization? Is it within the budget of team that align with finance for this fiscal year? And the schedule here. What are the need day? The need day may be the launching day, the production. What are the launching day that marketing is already set in the market and make decision for that? And how can we meet the deadline of the schedule? All of this are within the project management scope, budget, and schedule. Scope, budget, and schedule. It's all related. All this, we call that the project triangle. Project triangle. And there are the tip for this selection. We should not invite designer to join the bidding of equipment. Try to limit the custom-made equipment. Of course, custom-made equipment is very risky. Only prefer to buy standard model of equipment. Buy same brand name of all equipment which are the same function uses. Be proactive with alternative options and schedule clear working timetable for great cooperation between constructional supplier, mechanical and electrical contractor, local make equipment supplier involved, etc. Because all information, when you do the project management, especially this project that including several different parties, the project communication is very important. And in order to make the communication to all the party involved, we had the project leader have to own the communication plan and how to work with different supplier, different vendor, different equipment supplier, importer, blah, blah, blah. Those are the information that we should own, we should keep in our communication. So make sure that everyone know what is their role and responsibility in the delivery of the project. For the successful delivery at the end. Okay. Any question so far? Okay. Hello. If you don't have the question, I would like to end the class today. Thank you very much for your attendance. And if you have any question, you can reach me out anytime. Okay? Thank you very much.
Teacher,
Yes,
are you there?
I'm still here.
My group has a question about the semester project.
Yes. Excuse me, what's your name, please?
My name is Hiếu.
Ngô Văn Hiếu.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So the semester project topic is to build a RFP, right?
Yes.
So is it we have to make by the RFP by ourselves, or we analyze this a existed RFP?
No, you have to make the RFP by your group, depend on the project that your group is agree upon. Example, you have 1 billion project and your group have select to make it as to build a manufacturing, just an example. Or your group decided to make the project at to open a cafe shop, an example. So it depends on the project that your group agree to select within your 1 billion budget. You make the RFP for your semester project, not you analyze the RFP some others.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Clear, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any other question? No?
Yes. I'm in Hiếu group 2 and Trường Giang.
Your name is?
Vũ Trường Giang.
Vũ Trường Giang. Okay.
Yes. Can I have a question about the principal point of contact? It's like I imagine that the scenario that my company hire another company to request the purchase for us. So is that the point of contact, including the represent of the company we hire, or just the represent of our company?
Okay. So you are asking, can you repeat again your question? I didn't hear the first part.
Imagine I'm a company A.
Yes.
And I hire a third party like a company B to
Yes.
Do the procedure for the purchase first. So what contact should I put in the principal point of contact in this case?
I see. Okay. Make sure that I fully understand your question. Assuming that you are from party A side, right?
Yes.
You want to request party B to do the, let's say that the purchase service for you, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So party A, in this case, that is your side, and party B, and you have C, D, E, F, etc. because you will call many several different service provider or party or purchase, right? Okay. And yes. In the principle of contact is the key person in group A. So just in case that the supplier from B side, B, D, C, E, etc., they want to have some question. They know whom to reach out.
So this is the asking information about our requirement, not about the RFP, right? So I have to put the representative of company A inside the principal point of contact. Is that
yes,
true?
Yes, yes. Principal A, example, it's like that. A person who make decision from A side. Okay, so the project owner of the project of purchase service selection. What we call
Okay.
whatever. Okay.
Okay, I understand. Thank you so much.
Understand. Okay. But the principal A might not be the person who are in the regular contact with other supplier. The person in contact with the supplier to respond on the information will be the contract manager or the contract coordinator, etc. Principal contact, you can put it as the people who are making the decision in this supplier selection.
Yes, okay, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay. Thank you very much.